Let's talk about the latest academy news at Manchester United. Can Manchester United hold on to a 14-year-old prodigy who has been at the club since 2020? Is Diego Leon, the Paraguayan left back, heading to Manchester United? And finally, with the loss of the under-18s coach, who is the likely replacement and when does Manchester United expect to make this change? Let's talk about the 14-year-old prodigy from Manchester United's academy, JJ Gabriel. So according to Nathan Salt, JJ Gabriel commits to stay at Manchester United. The 14-year-old looks set to leave this summer before a crucial intervention from Jason Wilcox and Matt Hargreaves. Key meetings in past weeks swung it. So JJ Gabriel is the talk of the academy right now. He's only 14 years old. He's been at the academy since the age of 10. He had a Nike deal before he turned the age of 10, and he got a renewed deal recently as well. So he is one of the big prospects who's supposed to hit it big sometime in the future. Now, a lot of clubs wanted him across Europe, but luckily Manchester United were able to hold on to him. He had comparisons to Neymar and Ronaldo. He also made his debut with the under-18s team at the age of 14, where he was able to score 3 Premier League 2 goals in 3 Premier League 2 games. Now, all this is great news, but he is 14, so you have to calm the hype a little bit because you don't know how these prospects will develop and grow. Especially looking at him, he looks of a very diminutive stature, so you would want him to grow and develop rather than keep pushing him to the higher age groups and get more experience, because it's just more dangerous for him, because he does have the silky skills, but he still needs to grow as an individual. And luckily Manchester United, at least through Jason Wilcox, now can show him that there's a pathway to get into the first team. Manchester United has always had academy graduates go on to play in the first team. I mean, we have Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho currently in the first team. We have Kobe Mainu, who recently moved up to the first team. We also have players who came from the academies of other teams across England, and they are also now fighting for playing time in the first teams. Like Toby Collier came from the Brighton Academy, and Aiden Heaven and Chido Obi Martin came from the Arsenal Academy. So this is good news, but I'm mostly in a wait and see mode, because although we have managed to keep him for now, he still has a chance in 2 years to sign another contract or to leave. So all Manchester United can do is develop him and show him the pathway to the first team, and then hopefully pray for the best. There's nothing more you can do about this. So I'm just in a wait and see mode with regard to this. Hopefully he decides to stay, and hopefully he becomes a Manchester United great. But right now, all you can do is just hope that he decides to stay and develop and get better. So it's finally happening. Diego Leon, a Paraguayan left back who was signed in the January transfer window, is heading to Manchester United and will most likely join up with the preseason training on July 7th and get acclimated with the first team and brought to the US for the preseason games. Now, this is great news because I've been waiting for Diego Leon to come for the entire 6 months. I thought he could be the initial replacement for at the left back position before Manchester United went and got Patrick Dorgu, but it looks like he wasn't of age yet, so he could only come in after he had turned 18, and Manchester United realized that it's better for him to just stay with his current team in Paraguay and then come over in the summer. Now, I'm just excited to watch him play, because I've always said that the way Manchester United gets out of the hole in which they are currently in is not mostly through the big signings, but through the small signings which come into the academy, develop and get better, and then are brought into the team. Diego Leon was just £4 million. That's nothing compared to the amounts that they are currently willing to pay for established players. Now there's a chance that Diego Leon might never play for Manchester United. He might just be playing in the academy and then get sold at a later date for a decent fee. But it doesn't matter because he was purchased for a very low fee, so Manchester United can afford to take that risk in these up and coming players. And that's why one of the biggest hires that Manchester United made over the past 2 years was getting in Christopher Vivell. Christopher Vivell was able to identify Diego Leon as one of the prospects who could come in and help Manchester United, and that is what he is trying to do with other prospects across Europe as well. For example, last year he managed to get hold of Sekou Kone, a Mali international, and bring him to Manchester United's academy. He's currently doing quite well, and there's a likelihood that he might be sent out on loan to develop and get better before he can be brought back to Manchester United and possibly part of the first team. So Manchester United currently has a vacancy in the defensive midfielder position or one of the pivots, but when you spend so little on Sekou Kone, you can send him out to get him developed and bring him back and then put him in part of the first team. But what I like is Manchester United, at least according to Ruben Amorim, is going to give a lot of opportunity to academy players this preseason. So when they start in the preseason training on July 7th and when they come over to the United States on July 19th, a lot of academy players will be involved in those teams, especially so that Manchester United can decide if some of these players can play any role, even as a backup role or just a squad role, or just on the training ground, but whether they can play any kind of role in this next season. So let's see what Diego Leon has shown. I as one would be monitoring his progress. I think he's good enough to play in the first team. He'll probably be as a backup to Patrick Dorgu, or in worst case scenarios you might even use him as a left centre back because currently you don't have Lisandro Martinez as he's injured, and there's no clarity on when he would come back. And then you also have Luke Shaw, who when fit will obviously have that position, but you never know with Luke Shaw. So let's see what happens with Diego Leon and whether he's able to get into the first team. And finally, the latest news is that Darren Fletcher is the current front runner for the vacant under-18s coach role, which was vacated by Adam Lawrence, who went on to pursue other opportunities. Now, this is great news for Manchester United because Darren Fletcher is currently working with the first team under Ruben Amorim. So he gets to work with the first team players and see Ruben Amorim incorporating his system with them. Now, I've always felt that all the other teams below the first team all should be feeding to the main team. So if Darren Fletcher can go to the under-18s team and establish a similar style of play, one which will allow for the easy transition of players from the under-18s up, may possibly directly all the way up to the first team, then that is great news. Plus, you have a lot of great players in the under-18s team, especially JJ Gabriel. So you want a player who is Manchester United through and through, who can speak to these players and talk to them about like class of 92 and all the other academy products, who are able to come in, develop, and then move on to the first team. So I think this is a win-win all the way, and I can't wait to see what happens next.